So it's close to Halloween, and I have been wanting to work on a very special project for a long time now, but I've never really known how to do it up until this point. But I decided that even though we're not going to be partying for Halloween this year, I would really, really, really like to have a cool costume. And I actually have time to work on something this year. So I made a witch's broom.
And I think it actually turned out pretty well, honestly.
I freaking love it. I feel badass, and I really do wish I could fly on a broom because it would save on gas money so much.
Oh my, yeah.
And I wear all black, so the possibility of, like, you know, hitting a plane is pretty good, so...
Or a bird.
Or a bird, yeah.
Oh, get smacked with one of those in the face riding a broom.
Maybe that's why they like, fictional witches have cats on their brooms with them, because cats can see in the dark, and they can alert them to impending collisions.
You're gonna have Shaggy on the end of your broom like Rudolph. Back to what we were talking about.
So, I had this old piece of driftwood lying around that I had gotten, I think, in Michigan.
Yeah, we got it on a trip in Michigan.
And on the beach, I just collected a bunch of pretty driftwood, and this one was so pearlescent and beautiful, and I just had to have it. And it's a pretty big stick. I love the knots. I wanted to keep the knots on the broom, so we just sort of cut off just the sharp pieces, and then I sanded down the knots to make them very smooth and more pronounced. And I even took a little buffering tool that we had on our Dremel tool, and I buffed them to make them look real shiny and pronounced because I absolutely love them and I wanted that natural look. I went to the store and I picked up the cheapest corn broom I could. This one had a nice detachable handle that just unscrewed out of this little plastic piece, and ironically enough, I can use it for something else later on, and the broom handle, so those are not going to waste. So in order to dye the broom the way I wanted, which is purple on the top and black on the bottom, I picked up these RIT, I believe it's pronounced that way, RIT fabric dye in eggplant because I wanted a dark, rich purple, and then I also picked up the black. Now, I have to tell you, this was difficult because with, like, fabric dye, you have to do boiling water and, like, you know, mix the fabric in with it. So I had to boil a couple pots of water and fill up a big bucket with some of the dye to soak it in. As you can see, the purple there looks a little bit light. It only took me one bottle. I probably could have used more if I wanted a deeper color, but I just went with this because I liked the almost natural look it came out with, which is weird to say since it's, you know, dye. This is what it looks like right now, and now I'm going to do black on the bottom. And I did this at night because I wanted to just soak overnight, and yes, that is me using the broom handle to mix. So I dunked the bottom part of the broom into the boiling water and let that soak. And since the purple dye was at the top, I think because of that, it gave the rest of it a kind of almost purplish black color. Here is the finished broom. And I have to say, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. But we're going to take out this lovely plastic piece inside, and it's wrapped with wire. So first things first is removing the wire, which was not horrible. It's actually one of the easier parts of this whole project. And then bang, it was off. And the little plastic piece was down in there pretty good, but it did come out.
It shot right down the cornhole.
Thank you, Robin. Now, with this top piece, it was kind of edgy and split. So we tried to cut it down. And yes, I know it looks really awful the way we are doing this. We do not have a good spot like sawhorses or anything where we could have done this. So don't be too hard on us in the comments. But just for the record, like, we would have done this more safely if we had safer area. So in order to hold the wire into place against the broom, we decided to drill a hole through the bottom part so we could thread the wire around through that to make it more secure.
That way it was actually physically attached to the base somehow.
We wanted to make sure that the bottom part of the broom was not going to come off at all. And I swear to you, this was so much of a pain in the butt. I will never try it like this ever again. But we tried to keep the broom flat, and it's state and then attach it. And I gotta tell you, with the thickness of our wood, which sounds really horrible, it was so hard. We could not get it to attach.
As soon as I would, essentially pull the wire tight on the bristles, it would slide down off the end, because that's just how it had been shaped. And
then as I'm watching us struggle with this, I just decide, you know what, I would actually like a rounded broom instead of a flat broom. So I sat there snipping and pulling out all of the center cords that were holding the corn broom into its current shape. This was so much easier.
So much easier.
I recommend it, and it looks so much more natural and cool.
When taking the broom apart, we discovered how there is an inner core and essentially an outside. All of the bristles we went ahead and tied off. That way those all essentially grouped together, and we could work with a stalk.
So yeah, the core base went on first.
And it was a lot easier since it wasn't already in that sort of cone shape. The bristles were able to lay flat, and it was a lot easier to pull it tight. So after we got the core firmly attached with the wire, we went ahead and used some regular string and reinforced it. But this leather strap, we got one long enough that I wrapped it around a couple more times, and that was also going to double as what was going to hold the outer bristles to the broom itself also.
And then we took the outer layer that were still tied in those little bushels and slowly attached them with the wire around the outside of the core, which was so much easier. I cannot stress that enough.
You can see as one or two bundles at a time, we would just bring it over, go ahead and snip the cord holding them together. I would wrap that batch of bristles around a couple of times, and then we would turn the broom, put another bundle on there, and essentially repeat the process, about 3 times?
Yes. So then we took another thicker piece of leather and reinforced that again over the cord to make sure that it was in place, but also it looks really nice. So here she is, all finished.
Mm-hmm.
So I attached some bits and bobs that I keep around the house. I got some crystals, shavings that I gotten from my father, and used those to outline the places that we had shaved, so it kind of looks like the core of my broom is made of crystal. And then, believe it or not, this is from my very late 90s, early 2000s childhood of having a bedazzled chain across your jeans. It was very cool, I assure you. And I attached that with some easy little tack nails.
Yeah.
And those went in and it wrapped on around real nicely and has a cool looking chain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also had these coins. You can kind of see right there. It's the coins. And they're all right down the broom handle. And I got those, I think it's Tim Holtz is the brand. They were for, I guess, a necklace or something. But they're actually metal coins. And they say things like masquerade and spooky, trick or treat, and frightful. But I took some wall tacks and I tacked them into place. So we have the most elegant broom. And the way the dye turned out was so perfect. And the purple is up at the top. And then because we unhooked the broom last, instead of doing it, I guess, the proper way, the white at the top is kind of slightly purple, but also still the white color, and it looks so good, natural. So I love it. I love the way it looks. And I have to say, having it on a almost like a leash.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
back, child. It's okay.
Give your broom on a leash.
Yeah, I have to keep my broom on a leash because it's a wild thing.
And you look great with it.
No.
Running through the leaves.
Oh my god, you guys don't know how much as a child I would put on my cloak and run around barefoot out in the yard. Oh my gosh.
Now you have an extra accessory to do it with.
I do. I would recommend dyeing it altogether because you're going to lose a lot of bristles.
Yeah.
We've still lost a few of them. But I would say definitely do that when you're dyeing. And I think it turns out looking more organic.
Yeah.
But if you really want to saturate them completely, I would say take it apart and do it the loose way. But that's completely up to you.
But it was a fun project. And yeah, like I said, in the end, I think we're going to have to put it somewhere because we worked hard on it. And I think it looks good.
And I might hang it from the ceiling because in my mind, that's where you Targa Broom. Other van lifers hang surfboards on their ceilings, and then there's us. I should give it a name. If anybody has any comments or suggestions about what the name of my broom should be, please put them down in the comment section, because I need to name this broom.
And of course we'll leave links to as much of this stuff as we can.
Yes.
Obviously we can't leave a link to a piece of driftwood.
No, but I would say go find a stick.
Yeah, that one you have to go out in nature and get yourself.
So, happy broom making, and we'll see you next time for another video, and doodles noodles.